Welcome to Thank God You're Not My Child. It's a comedy podcast where I talk about whatever I want to. And this week, we're going to talk about what to look for when you're looking for a daycare. What to look for, what not to look for. Yeah, it sounds weird, but so many people, I see so many TikToks and different people that I hear that were like, oh, you can't trust a daycare. You know, there's bad stories out there and bad things happen to some kids in daycare, but there are so many good daycares, and learning how to look for one is huge on a parent's list. I mean, the one thing that I always think is when I was licensed for over 23 years, I think, and all the other times that I did childcare and wasn't licensed, I was registered, and there's reasons to look for license. There are so many rules you have to follow. I mean, I had health department come in. When I first started, health department would come in at least twice a year, sometimes 3 times. I was on the food program, so the food lady would come 4 times a year. Fire marshal would come twice a year. State would come at least 3, maybe 4 times a year. And, you know, you have to stay tippy-toe when you're licensed, and you are being watched. And so it reassures that they're having to follow certain rules that your state has. Every state's different. But the downfall is just because they're licensed doesn't mean they're good. So you need to know what to look for. And, you know, my number one thing, I was asked almost 70% I'd pick the phone up if someone was calling or a message. The first thing they'd ask is, how much do you charge? And I do understand how much your daycare charges is high on the list because you have to know if you can afford it. But might not be the first question. If you want them licensed, you need to make sure they're licensed. You need to know their hours because maybe it doesn't work with your hours. You do need to know the price, you know, and is that daily? Is that weekly? Is that salary? Which I will say salary is, most daycares do, is you pay for the spot. You pay for the spot. You don't pay for if they're there or not. And because, you know, when I was licensed for 10 kids, all I could have was 10 kids. So if you wanted to pay for 2 days or 3 days, if I couldn't find anybody to fill the other days that you would not want, which I never, ever had a chance doing that. I don't know why people either need full-time or nothing. And so you're losing money. And I needed the money. I mean, the supplies, the preschool. I taught preschool. I did Bible study because that was what we did. And I was never blessed with different religions to go into that. So we did Bible study, and, you know, there was a routine, and the only way I was able to do that routine with 10 kids is you had to have the routine. They had to know when breakfast was. They had to know when lunch was. They had to know when rest time was, nap time. And not napping was not a choice, because whether they sleep or not is their choice. But laying down on that cot was not a choice. And each kid was different. Some kids barely made it to the cot, you know, before, you know. And then there's some kids that it's hard to lay there and not do nothing. So you do have to work with different things, and we're not going to get into that. But work with each child's different. But there's just things you need to know. I'm also a really firm believer that if you walk into a daycare and you do not have a good feeling about it, don't even consider it. I mean, go on with the interview because maybe something's off, but if you don't have a good feeling about a place that you're visiting, I don't know if I'd leave my kid, you know? I was licensed for 10 kids. That was all I could take. So I actually had times when I would do interviews and then I chose who would fill the spot right. And I would go to the first person I thought would fill the spot right with the hours they needed and all of that. Just the same thing you would look for in a daycare. How clean it is. Sorry, I had a lot of stuff. We had a lot of toys. But when it was clean, I mean, the health department come in, you had to have clean. You could have toys. I mean, I got written up once because I had too many toys out. She comes in, 10 kids are playing happily. in the daycare. And she said there was too many toys out. Excuse me. Excuse me. These kids are playing. They are playing. They're playing happily. They're not fighting. They're just playing. And you're going to write me up because there's too many toys out? Woo! Let's just say, if you walked in there at nap time and there was too many toys out and you were going to trip, maybe you can write me up. But when the kids are playing, I'm not going to tell a kid to pick up toys when they're sitting there playing. Okay, so they're playing with 80 toys in the dollhouse area, and they're setting up a city. You know what? I don't care if they have 200. If they're playing and they're setting up a city, they can have whatever the fuck blocks they want. Or houses. Or cars. Anyway, that was my soap. What is it? Shit soapbox. Because it's just mine. So I call it, you can call it shit. I'm okay. So if you're going to call it shit, I call it my shit soapbox. Yep, that's right. I would hear of so many people like, I can take care of your kid for $20 a day. Well, just let me tell you what's going to happen. I would spend at least $5 a day per child to feed them. That was at least. So you're going to make $15. Now, if you have to keep toys up, you're going to spend, excuse me. I have no liquor. And, you know, looking at these bad TikToks I've been looking at, some of these providers and some of the things they did have stressed me out. So I'm drinking water. Let me just say, when this episode's done, I think I'm going all the way downtown from this mountain. And I might be getting me a margarita because I might need it after this. When you're upset, you know, they say sometimes even daycare providers or parents, if you get upset or something, to count to 10. I can't just count. I have to make noises. But, okay. So, licensed or not licensed, do you want the cost? If they're licensed, they have to have CPR. They have to have first aid. They have to keep that up. Safe sleep. Do you know what safe sleep is? Most people, parents, have never heard of this. And in Missouri, it was licensed that you could not put an infant that could not turn by itself. First of all, it has to go on its back. And there was nothing, not even a blanket in that infant's bed. Nothing. A sheet, baby. Because they were afraid of them smothering. And I get that. But to tell me I would buy those, not really swandles, but, you know, the gowns that were like feet, that were a little bigger, because I might have to put socks and clothes on this baby and that, and double it up just to keep them warm and to keep them safe, because that's what they think is safe for the child, and that's what I did. And, you know, it's, you know, don't, if your daycare provider has stuffed animals and pillows in their baby beds, you need to think about that, because it is very, very, very bad for a child. It's kind of like I just asked on TikTok a very nice way. I said, she said the baby was sitting in this car seat rocking back and forth, and it was a very happy baby, but she says this is at daycare. And my first thing was, how long has this baby been in that car seat at daycare? But I asked in a nice way, is this at daycare? And she did send back, yes, it was. How long had it been in the car seat? You know, and I don't want to judge, but that's not safe for the baby, so it's not judging. I'm checking. And the mom did come back very nicely and say, LOL, I just got there. LOL, laugh out loud. I just got there, and this was me hooking the baby up. So you know what? Seems like she loves the daycare too. You go, Mom. I was just questioning because it's not safe for them. They should never, never, never be in a car seat. Once you get there, they should take them out immediately. And the worst feeling is taking a sleeping baby out of a car seat. Because you know at home, you'd leave them in that car seat if they were sleeping, because that's a little minute peace. But at a daycare, they cannot do that. It's not their child. This is where I came up with, thank God you're not my child. Because I would tell kids when I was watching them, when they were like really misbehaving, like slapping kids or something, or just being mean, throwing food on the floor, things kids do. I'd go, oh, you need to thank God you're not my child. And, you know, it was just one of those, because I do my discipline a little different on my kids. But they're not my kids, so I couldn't do that. So it's okay. It's okay. It's okay. See, it's okay. It's okay. Remember, sometimes you have to, just to focus back and not be so upset. But, so yeah, whenever you're looking for daycare, look at their, most states will have, public papers. You can go on and see what the daycare has been written up for, to see, is it just, a couple of things on their paperwork been missing, or, oh my goodness, their refrigerator was at 33 degrees instead of 32 degrees. You know, what were they? My biggest thing, I got read up by state, and I'm just going to tell you, it's not something I like to tell people. I would get written up on my little wading pools, because even though I had first aid and I had a lifeguard, CPR and all that, I couldn't have those little ones with like 6 inches of water in it on a 100-degree day. And I got caught multiple times, and I'd have to drill holes in them. And I finally found a way to put them on some cushion things so the water could. Now, yeah, it wasn't right, no. But you know, these little kids, I never let an infant in there. It was 4- and 5-year-old kids playing in 6 inches of water when it's 100 degrees. And I poured it out every night, because that's what state said the problem was people would leave it and mold would get in it. That's disgusting. If we're going to do it every day, it's going to be fresh water every day. It's not a swimming pool with a what do you call it? Swimming pool with a pump, a cleaner, a pump. It's not one of those. It's just water. So clean it every day. But that's another one. Is there preschool? Is your kid just going to be loved and to just I'm a big one on learning through play. We're going to say that, learning through play. So a lot of times our play was part of the learning, and I taught preschool out of books. So I'd have a new book every week, and it was so fun. And if anybody wants to know ideals and stuff on books and books I had, you can always DM me, just BK Donna. Yep, I'll put it on this, about this episode. I'm learning, what's that called? I'll put it in the queue on this one. Yeah, that's what I'll do. I'm learning. It's a slow process. Sounds getting better. It's all getting better. I promise. I'm working on it. So we're going to go back to what you shouldn't find. How many people live in the house? I know that sounds funny, but a lot of daycares might have an uncle or an aunt living there that maybe has had issues and might not be really safe. So how many people are living there? You need to know how many people are living in the house. You need to know how many people will be around your kids. There's just things, and that's for in-house daycare. For a center, you might just want to know, how many employees do you have? How many teachers will my child have in their class? Because, I would work 11 and a half hours a day because I was a one-man show or a one-woman show. But centers don't normally have people that will work 11 and a half hours. So you're going to have shifts of people. So you need to know that. You need to know what kind of food. Are they on the food program? Because I was on the food program, and when I was, the state would pay me to feed them good. It was something as simple as, what kid doesn't like peanut butter and jelly? Most kids do. And you couldn't feed just, a peanut butter and jelly. It had to have peanut butter and jelly. And they couldn't eat enough peanut butter for it to be their protein. So therefore you had to add protein. And normally I added cheddar cheese because that's what I liked. But after a while I realized other kids don't like cheddar cheese. So I would add either another kind of cheese or yogurt. A yogurt was a good protein with the peanut butter and jelly. Then they still had to have a vegetable and a fruit and the milk. And not every daycare feeds their kids what the state will say. So you need to ask what kind of food do they cook it? Do they have a cook? And the health inspector inspects. I mean, that's things you need to worry about too. And Taco Tuesday was always tacos, but it was hard taco boat, taco salads like in the shell. It was pork, beef, all the different meats, chicken taco. So every Tuesday was the only one that was a definite. Only Tuesday was Taco Tuesdays, and it was a different kind of taco. And every week they would help me decide what kind we were having the next week. Because if you let kids help with the menus, They tend, maybe even help cook. And I did that. I'll mention that on another episode. But they're going to eat it better. Down to salad. If they can pick their own dressing and what else they want on their salad, besides they need the lettuce, and maybe if they want cheese, and the lettuce is their vegetable. So anything they add is a plus. Let them choose it. But you're going to have to check the daycare to see if they're on the food program and how many inspections they have and how many teachers their child's going to have. And if they go outside in cold weather, it's a whole long list of stuff. And you can normally find a really good list if you just search it. And remember, not all daycares are going to be for everyone. Mine was called, I was called the Queen of the Crazy House because I'd bring snow in to the carpet. We'd play with snow, and we'd play with mud. If it was too cold outside, we might bring it into the lunchroom and make mud pies. And it was a little, also, you know what I also did? And this wasn't the parents telling me I was crazy. This was other providers telling me I was crazy. I did their laundry. I asked for extra clothes. And if your child got stains at lunch or really, I'd change their shirt and I would spray and wash it. And I'd make sure hopefully the stain would come out. If they had accidents, I changed them completely. But I didn't want any dirty clothes to go home because I'm there to help the parents. And any way I can help a parent, I did. And I guess I was just wanting a whole lot of extra work. But they didn't take cot blankets home. They didn't take cot beds, anything home. I washed them all the time, every week or more if they needed. They didn't take any dirty clothes home. If their shoes got dirty and I had time to wash them and make sure they were dry before they went home, I'd do that. If they had extra shoes, I'd do that. Like I said, I think I was just needing more work. But that's also one thing you want to ask your daycare provider is not if they do laundry, because the odds of you finding that's pretty low. I'm just saying. I was one in a bucket. So anyway, that's a good one. And one thing, don't send your kid to daycare in a expensive clothes, because guess what? They're going to paint. And they're going to eat spaghetti sometimes. And you don't want that expensive thing stained. I just suggest, dude, go to garage sales, find them for $1.50. As long as it fits, and I mean, you can find cute clothes at garage sales. So they can go to daycares. Cute, cute, cute. So just remember that. Okay, anyway, I've already told you a lot more than I know, I'm sure. And so, until next time, thank God you're not my child.